Okay, I think we can start, and then more people will join in during the meeting. Right. So, as a side note for everyone, this meeting is recorded, and then it will be shared with other participants, so they can watch it later. Because it's night for a lot of people, for a lot of participants, and we have with us Malik Afegbua, who's an artist, filmmaker, and a member of our jury. So he will see some of their works, and he will also judge some of them. Yeah, and this meeting is basically an opportunity for you to ask him questions about his expertise, and yeah, get some inspirations maybe for your products for the hackathon. And I will allow maybe I'll first if Malik, you want to say something about yourself first, or
Okay. Yeah, it's, well, like you said, my name is Malik. I'm a storyteller. There's different mediums of expression. I have been running my production company for about 18 years. That in film production, advertising, branding, and I've been exploring with other forms of technology, like augmented reality, virtual reality, and for the past 5 years as well, I've been experimenting with artificial intelligence to tell stories, to create work, to, the pre-production, post-production, even actual content creation and film and the likes, worked with major brands, pioneered new pipelines and pioneered new workflows as well. So happy to be here, happy to be part of this and see your work as well.
Great, thank you. So if you have any questions, you can raise your hands in the Google Meets, and then we will have a nice queue of questions. And I will allow myself to ask the first question. So what's, I think, sort of the most interesting thing to me is you, as an artist, you use AI in your creative processes. And I wanted to ask, how do you sort of deal with this generative AI maybe impacting the idea behind your story, your art, or do you even see it as something that can affect it?
That's a great question, and I remember speaking about this yesterday on stage, currently at the Mozilla Festival, and I always let people know that AI is just a tool. Like every other tool, it's a part of my workflow. It's not the main workflow, and I always think about it from the point of view of the story. What is the story? What is the problem? Then I decide what form or what tool I'm using to tell that story and solve that problem. So AI, it's part of that solution. It's not the entire thing. So it could be pre-production. If I wanted to storyboard, if I wanted to reimagine something, it could be in production. If I'm doing VFX, set extension. It could be an entire sequence in a film as well. If I'm creating a pitch or creating a story or an artwork or anything, but the major idea is I train mostly to train my own data sets. I work with mostly my own data, my own color combination styles, everything. So AI just enhances that process for me. It doesn't replace or help me decide what to choose. I put AI systems to work for me in terms of what I'm trying to create and the output I'm trying to create. So most of what I do is still basically based on my experiences on my work. AI just enhances it, and now we have to license my work with it.
Someone just wrote that maybe the microphone, your microphone might be a bit.
Let me.
Right. Because
is it better? Can you hear me?
I think it is better. Yeah.
Okay. I'll speak louder.
Okay. No. Yeah. I think it because I could understand that maybe some people had issues. But yeah. Okay. That's great to hear. And you said that you train your own data sets. That's really cool to me, because I have an AI background myself, like a technical AI background. And how do you do that? Your own data sets, and because the generative AI companies, they have huge amounts of money to do all that. So how do you, as an individual, deal with this issue of bias and all of that for your own data sets? What's the process behind that?
Well, basically, I've been collecting my own data for the past 16 years, and even beyond my existing data that I have, I'm still collecting data. I still go to physical spaces to collect data, sound, art, everything, and I use that, to create new forms of work, because I'm very particular about AI scrubbing data, or me not knowing where my content is coming from, or where the data is coming from that I'm working with. If I'm inspired by something, I like it to be in a way traced, So I'm very particular about that. If I'm filming, if I'm creating, it has to be controlled. I know where it's coming from. That's the only way I can license my work. That's the only way I can copyright my work. So in the past, it was a lot more complicated, but now it's a lot easier. Yes, I've got like high GPU computers. I've got like very high state of the art equipment that I use most of the time, but I didn't always have it. I had to work with like open source stuff, but it's grown since then because of the fact that right here, most of the data that we're using in the big tech is heavily biased. You have to keep refining and refining for you to get the actual thing that you're trying to do. But I got tired of that, and then starting to do stuff properly, creating also smaller language models that are controlled within a certain space that I can use. Pull from that I use to create my work, depending on what I'm doing as well.
Nice, but what would you say is like for people who don't have access to such equipment as you do? How can they sort of deal with these biases?
Yeah, that's a great question, and it's now easier to do. Most of these AI systems make it easier to do just by feeding it with reference images of what you're trying to do, enhancing and making new iterations of those reference images is a way of training, data sets as well. You could have your style or your color combination already set up somewhere, and you train an AI system. It could even be just references, just uploading images and saying make new variations of this. That way it understands your style, your sequences, and you're just enhancing that. There are more complicated ways of doing it that I can't really go into right now, like coding and Python and all of that, but just make sure that you're not putting in a prompt. If you're using generative AI, for instance, put in a prompt, getting a result, and just going for that, because anybody can just put in a prompt and get any result. But what are the processes? What is the pipeline? What are you altering? What are you changing? It has to reflect your experience. It has to reflect your skill set. Your talent as well has to be put in there one way. That way, AI just makes you see it in 10 or 100 different ways. But that original idea has to come from you.
That's really, but interesting. By the way, if guys, if you have questions, and this is basically for you, an opportunity for you to ask these questions, you can just raise your hand, and then great. Right. So, Michał, you're first.
Hi. Yeah, this is Mike. Hello, Malik. Thank you for joining us here.
Hello.
I've got a question about the about the cultural heritage that you try to spread around the world with your work with AI, with generative AI. So how do you see how these all new techniques and tools would enable you to spread the cultural heritage of your country worldwide?
It is very good because now anybody can use this, has access to tools like this to properly, explore where they're from and make AI systems enhance that process or that story or that narrative or that, culture based on the story that you're trying to tell. For instance, AI systems are very generic. They don't really understand subcultures or deep cultures. You have to fit it, existing things that are very, very particular about what you're trying to tell. For instance, I was trying to speak about the elders. I was trying to speak about African, Afrofuturism, African fashion, African histories, or mythology. For me to do that, I first of all had to imagine it, create everything, jot things down, sketch it, all of that before I went onto the AI system, put in my ideas, put in the references that I had to create from that. But it didn't start off with the AI system, it started off, like I normally do, the traditional ways of creating projects. Then I could now enhance it with it. I could now create more iterations of that. I could now even make mistakes and correct those mistakes by, understanding what role we play as human beings, what role we play in the cultural term, in the digital space as well. How can we be reflected and how can it stay without? Because there's a saying that goes, if you're trying to change a bias, you might be amplifying a different one. So it's also very, very important for us to understand that we're not, it's not very general, it's mostly in silos, but those little silos, if we're doing it in different spaces as creators, is going to make the entire system better because now we are making sure it represents who we are properly based on the factual data that we feed it, if that makes any sense.
One more thing before giving the mic to Joanna. Do you see any obstacles or problems with AI that has to work on some, not from your perspective, I mean your country, but from the broader global perspective, with some niche culture to work on?
Yeah, most of the challenges that I see is the same way you have AI for good, AI creativity, or AI advocacy. There's also AI slop, where anyone could just create anything without a storyline or without a direction or without the grounded, ethical means of being an artist. The barrier has been lowered, which means everybody has access to it. But not everyone is creative or talented enough to actually be impacted by it or tell a real story that is grounded in the art form. So those things are there. So I still feel like there needs to be a form of training, regardless of how accessible the tools are, a form of training where people understand how to approach those things. And beyond that, from my perspective and where we're from, we need more spaces to train data centers. They are not data centers, to even train data sets. We have to do things in our own ways to make it work one way or the other. We need to own our own technology. I think everything should be open source, not closed source, so we see where the data is coming from, where the data is going to, because it could be used for good, it could be used for bad. It's a tool. Anybody, depending on the user who's behind it, how do you drive it? How do you, but on the flip side, it's going to create more innovations, more work, more ideas, more imagination, depending on who's using it as well.
Cool, thank you.
Okay, Jana?
Do you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, hello. Hello, Malik and guys. I saw that you have a fashion show on the Mozilla Festival, yes?
Yes, that was yesterday. That was really good.
Yes, congratulations. And my question is about the process of creation of your materials. You said in one of your films on the YouTube that you love to do experiments, and all the time you like this process of the experiment. And how is about these materials you create? Is that an experimental thing, or you just draw them, or you how do you now? How does the process look like?
For the initial stages were experiments, but when it comes to creating the materials, like in terms of the fashion, they're very intentional. Because I have a background in design, so I already know how to do certain things. So I could create 10 unique designs and let the AI make it 100, based on color combinations, styles, sequences, shapes. And that's what happened. I co-created all the clothing line with AI. But the initial ones were original, but then I'm like change the sequence of the lines, change the geometry, change the colors, change the shape, but it's the same design, but I can now see it many different ways. Then I take it to my producers, I can take it to my tailors, my other designers to produce it in real life. So everything I create digitally, I make sure I can find the real materials in real life. I don't just create random things. I make sure it's there. And if it's not there, if it's print, I'll go and print it with wax and print and stuff. So it's very, very, very intentional, and it's very much fun. If you ask me, it's very fun.
And you focus on. I saw that you focus on mostly on. Like to say it's heritage, like Michał said before, is very important for you. So, do you look for inspirations through the Africa world, of course? But do you plan to look also an inspiration in some tribals, for example, or something?
Yeah, no, my inspiration comes from everywhere. For instance, the fashion show we did last year was only in Nigeria with Africans. The one we did yesterday was with only Spanish people. So it's everywhere. Any culture, any heritage, because we're celebrating humanity. We're celebrating age. We're celebrating fashion, and anybody and everybody is a part of it. So depending on what space I find myself in, I immerse myself in that space. I make everybody a part of it, because the idea is we want to change the perception of inclusion, change the perception of age, and change the perception of beauty. What does beauty really mean as an individual? What does beauty really mean in the world? And storytelling is a very powerful tool to do that. And AI is a medium of that storytelling that I tell that thing. So because everything works hand in hand, we're in the future right now where we can use technology to scale. So I use AI as that main form of expression, to combine everything together and just, explore my narrative.
I can see in your works, yes, this multiply inspiration. But I want to ask, I was curious about that. So thank you very much for your answers.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jana. And Domi, no, you have the stage.
Hi, hello, Malik. How everyone?
Hello.
I would like to ask you a question about the workflow, building of the workflow, because I have one project behind me in AI in which I was using my paintings, my watercolor paintings, and I made a whole film. And now I engage for this hackathon actors, real people. And my question approaches this topic. Do you have any tips on working on AI projects which involve real people, real actors? Yes, I mean, like in terms of the workflow,
Yes, I've got several projects, so it depends on what I'm trying to do. I have a project, I've done 3 film projects with real, people involved, where we had to do like facial scans of the actors, or we do motion capture, and we use AI to bring that to life. Or we've had cases where the actor could not make it to set, and maybe he felt sick, and we used his, same likeness, but used AI to create those scenes as well. In terms of even creating a style, we're working on the animation recently. The animation, one of the artists in the company has a particular style that he used to draw and all of that. So we fed that style to an AI system to create new scenes, new narratives, but it's the exact same style, same colors, same shapes, many different ways. So we think about AI as just a very, very, important medium. That medium could be to, if you have a painting and I want to see my painting in several different ways, I can feed an AI system to say, this is a painting I have, but what if it is shown in this scene or this, the sequence? What would it look like? And I can see both. I can see without even painting it, because it still has my strokes, all of that. So many things. I would say that AI has the capability to be anything as intelligent as it can. We are the drivers of that thing. We need to just think about, what do we want to do? How do we want to create it? Everything is possible. Because I always look for problems or challenges, but we always find a way to solve that problem. Just how you approach it.
Yes, thank you. You know, I thought about, because I'm experimenting, you know, so I'm revolving the workflow on the go. Yes. You know, I was aiming this particular question with regard to those, you know, real actors, because usually, you know, the system of when you make a regular film, you know, you write scenario usually, yes, then you go with storyboarding and everything, you know, and maybe you find any holes in this process when the AI is engaged, you know, some obstacles that you meet, you know, that you have met in your productions, you know, that you had to find a special, you know, solution for something, you know, because you know, I was, for instance, intuitively filming my characters, and now I'm building the storyline, you know, and I know that not all and everything that I would like to do in AI is possible also, you know, because I tested some things also, you know, so you know, there is this there are those obstacles, yes, and we have to maybe be elastic, of course, when flexible, when trying to approach the subject. What is your stance? How do you build your workflows? Yes, are you open to the, like, you know, to the new endings of the story, for instance, just because the cooperation with AI is not so smooth, you know, or something like this? How does it work for you? This is my question.
For me, I always combine several tools.
Mhm.
In my workflow, I combine several tools because I know the pros and cons of the weaknesses of some softwares and the strengths of some software. Some are really good with landscape, some are really good with characters, some are really good with
Mhm.
angles of character. So I know each and everything, and depending on what I'm trying to do, I combine several things to create something.
Mhm. Okay, I have a problem because something stopped your oh, now I can hear you. Okay, I can.
Can you see me? Okay,
Yes.
so like for instance, I still use traditional softwares like Adobe Premiere Pro, you know,
Yeah.
Adobe Photoshop. Depending on still what I'm trying to alter, sometimes I still sketch on it and feed it back into it just to get a result. But what the major thing is, I know what the final result is supposed to be. So until I
Okay.
get there, you know, I keep refining my pipelines and
Yes.
everything that I'm doing till I
Yes.
get there. I don't let the
Yeah.
AI say this is the final result. No, it has to be
Yeah.
exactly what I want in my head that I create. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I have on my mind problems like, you know, connected with, for instance, the AI doesn't understand well the 3D space. Yes, so for instance, when I form a question or I form a prompt in which I want, for instance, the distorted, you know, like to have the character in the main position in the scene, and around of the character there are distorted mirrors, yes, and for instance it doesn't understand well what does mean the distortion, you know, in this context, yes. So now I'm fighting with this, you know. So you know, I just think about all those cases for which, for instance, you know, the AI doesn't have the data, you know, during the learning. I was searching for distorted mirrors on the Google, you know, and there are no images of it, you know. So basically, it wasn't trained on that, yes. So there are some concepts that I can have in my head, but of course, it's very difficult sometimes to sell this problem to your prompt, you know, and to the AI. That's my experience.
It's true, but here is a trick that I
Yeah.
normally do when AI doesn't understand something. There are two ways of doing it. One, I do something called a JSON prompt, which is machine
Mhm.
language any LLM to change it to a JSON prompt to give you
Yeah.
exactly what you're looking for. But also, like you said, if there are no references that we can find to use for it, I find an image online. It could be a film. It could be something that had what you're looking for. Then you take it
Yeah.
to an LLM, tell it what it is, and tell it to explain to you in a prompt how to tell an AI system what this is based on that image. But it will give you that exact thing. I feed that into it. If it gives me fine, if it doesn't give it to me, then I use that exact image to create something entirely new. I create a prompt from that image as well. Midjourney is very good with things like that.
Yes,
And that
yes.
prompt I use to create something new. So that always works for me most of the time. That happens.
Okay, thank you for your tips. Thank you very much. Thank you for your answer.
You're welcome.
Ghana, we can hear you. You've got your mic muted.
Oh, sorry, it was accidentally. I probably pushed the button before more times. Yes, I'm waiting for another person to ask question. Maybe
Okay,
later
so-
I will ask
yeah.
one.
Yeah, so that would be me.
Sorry.
Malik, as much as I admire your work, I'm also curious about your mindset about using AI, generative AI as an artist, because many artists have a problem with that. Many of them criticize people who do that. This is not my approach. I'm talking about you know the general general opinion about those tools. And to be honest, I totally admire people who are so forward thinking and are using these tools, even if they are not perfect right now, proactively. So I'm very curious what's your take on that? What's your opinion on using these tools in general, about the artists that deny the right to exist of these tools, and the artists that use these tools on a daily basis to expand their work?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'll give you an example and I'll answer. For instance, when one of my work went viral a couple of years ago, I had a group of Brazilians that said they wanted to speak to me. This was a group of Brazilian artists. There were 6 of them, and they are traditional artists, and they said they wanted to have a conversation. So I had like a Zoom conversation like this with them, and they were telling me that it feels like they've been
You say traditional artists, yeah?
Yes, I'll say exactly.
This is the contradiction itself. Traditional artists, from my opinion. Sorry for
yes,
that.
yes, and there's a reason why I said so, because I'm going to get into it. And they were telling me that it feels like they're being forced to adopt this technology. Now, why is it in their faces? Why are they being threatened? Is this something that's replacing them and all of that? So I have to explain, to them. Before, in the past, when we had cavemen, you had to strike 2 stones to make fire, But why do we have a lighter today? To make it easier. Why do we have matches? We don't have to strike stones anymore. And technology would always grow. Someone could decide that I don't want to use a lighter. I want to keep using a stone. But you spend a lot of time doing that, just trying to spark fire. Well, with a lighter, you do that, you've done your thing, you've moved on. So the mindset I have is the work of art, of the art form in itself should be the story and not the tool that is being used to create that story. The story is the one that impacts people that you're touched by. No one really cares about how it's made up. No one really cared about how things were made up until AI. You make a film, it could be a silent film, a black and white film, a painting, a music. It's a medium of expression where we're just trying to pass a message to you. I've been a traditional artist myself. I paint. I've been doing all of that for many years. I've been I've done painting with my hands. I've done painting with Procreate on my iPad. I do everything. So I always find new mediums to express myself at the same time. You know, I've been a digital artist. So I work all of them. And for me, I'm not trying to remain with one medium. I'm expressive. And for me, because I'm a storyteller, I could decide to tell a story with fashion today. I could decide to tell a story with a documentary tomorrow, or an art a canvas next tomorrow. And I think about what is the best medium to use for this. So AI for me is a tool, like an enhancer to make things even faster. I can think of an idea today, and that idea is only limited to what my brain could carry. But what about I put in a system where I could think further than I could think, and take my idea to more better places, and I see my eyes are even more open to even do more things. So those artists that I spoke about, there were 6, 5 of them today are using AI to enhance their workflows. And that's because now they understand, you know, that it's not trying to replace them, it's trying to either inspire them or enhance their workflows. You know, so it's mostly the approach and the lack of understanding of what this tool is, because everybody has access to it and anybody can create anything right now. But there's still a demarcation between who has a talent, who has experience, and just anybody that is using this tool as well. You could always tell, you know, between the two, and that's where the real artist will play in when it comes to that.
This is so cool, really. I am totally astonished with what you say, because this is also the idea behind the whole initiative and the hackathon. And I'm, you know, starting to fall in love with you. this kind of thinking, this kind of openness of your mind is something that pushes us forward and is something that takes art to the next level, I think. So this is so cool. Thank you for this.
Thank you.
Stanislav, can I have one more question, or does anybody wants to ask a question here? Okay, so I would jump in with one more question. So Malik, what do you lack right now within the generative AI environment? So what would be the best solution or tool that Pixel Riot contestants can create for you? Because at the hackathon there are some creative tasks and there are some technical tasks. So people can create some image, some experience, some interaction on one hand, and on the other hand, they can create some tool or some workflow or some technological solution that would help creatives to work better, faster, or more efficiently. So do you have any idea or any obstacle that you want to address?
Mostly access to learning tools. A lot of people are trying to see where's the best platform to learn generative AI or AI systems. Maybe we create a form of platform that could give anybody with interest and access to learn, like on a daily basis, something about AI. I think that would be a great resource, you know, for everybody really, because that way you're updating yourself rather than just putting on social media. You're updating yourself with new tools, new workflows, new pipelines, but it keeps evolving, it keeps changing. And because of that fast-paced evolution, many people feel lost where to even start from. But what if we've, in a way, been updated from the ground level, from the basic level of how to approach technology, what to do, how to protect yourself, you know, a form of platform where it's mostly crowd-funded, crowd supported in the sense that anybody could have an idea and share that idea, but also train and teach people. That'd be amazing.
So you mean some educational platform?
Yes.
Training platform? Okay. Okay. Thank you.
So,
Domi, I think you have raised hand.
Yes, hello again. I would like to ask you also about the work with major companies. I mean, like, you know, about the how does it look like, you know, if it comes to the AI projects? Yes, because you're inventing the new aesthetics, let's say, with this, and of course you work with storyline. Yes, that I understand. So the question is, if the companies expect something unexpected from you, or they just want to put you through the work through the pipeline that is typical for other productions, film productions, let's say.
So it's both, because I work in a commercial space and I also work as an artist. Some people reach out to me to, be an artist and create something. They don't know what I'm going to create. Just give me a free hand creative. But for some other people, like banks, for instance, it still has to go through the same process of how we would film a real TV commercial. There's still sequences, there's still shot direction, there's still, color combinations, just like that. The only difference is the medium, which is AI, and we're making it realistic as possible. So we're open to all approaches because, people in different companies are different as well in terms of what they're trying to create. So we're very flexible, and that also helps us learn on the job because some companies come with crazy demands, crazy demands. At first, it feels impossible. Like, are you guys crazy? Why would they even ask me that? But when we start to create stuff like that, we find it like, oh, we're actually excited to solve that problem. And when we solved it, that's a new, problem solved. So the next project is even easier for us to approach it. So I love a challenge because nothing is impossible. It's just to rethink, of a different approach, and you'll always find a way to solve it today. That's from experience how I feel.
Thank you.
Micha, I think no one else has a raised hand right now, so you can.
Okay, I love it. I love it really. So it's quite an opportunity to talk to Malik. So I've got a question about creating an ideas or even igniting the new ideas from generative AI tool. I would explain. So, for example, you're creating or making a new picture or movie with Midjourney or with, for example, Runway, who is the partner of the hackathon, and the output that you receive appears to be something that is that was somehow expected by you, but is actually better or taking you on the next level than what you have prompted for. It's when I use generative AI, sometimes it happens. So in these cases, I can feel that this is a spark of the idea that is even better than what I have thought about before. So do you perceive it as a happy accident? Do you like to pursue that direction, or do you perceive it as something aside of your vision and leave it, or do you like to dive deeply into the direction and explore something that you feel that wasn't even at the very beginning on your mind? This is very interesting, maybe from the philosophical point of view for me.
Yeah, no, that is a very good question, and I used to call that's the gift of AI. That sometimes you really don't expect it. I could be trying to create something and I'm seeing a totally different thing entirely. For instance, if I'm working with Midjourney, I've got like 15 different mood boards. I could put in one prompt on all 15 different mood boards. I could have that same prompt on all models, V1, V2, like V4 to V7, and I could have them with different creative or weirdness to get the exact thing I'm looking for. And each thing, sometimes I deep dive. If I show you my Midjourney library, we're gonna be here for days. I've got tons and tons, over 50,000 images that I've created so far. And that is the fun of it. That way I never get bored. Some days I'm just thinking, what should I do? Let's go on my mid-journey life and I start to see images that I created in the past, and now, wow, okay, what is this? What's going on? I deep dive and I break it down, and all of that. So I call it the gift of AI. And the reason why is because our mind can only take us to a certain place. We deal with emotions, we deal with mood swings, we deal with, things that we're distracted by. AI systems are never distracted. They just have data and information and they run with it. They just have knowledge, input, output, garbage in, garbage out. So that way it's working 24/7. So we are the ones that will look at that and structure it how we want to structure it and create new things from that thing. So to me, it's the gift of AI. I don't put it aside. I explore. Sometimes if it's different from what I'm trying to create, I keep it, then I go back to it and I say, oh, wow, this is good. What can we do with this? And then I start to create something from that as well. So yes, that's the gift, I would say.
Yeah, this is the very similar approach to what Jacob Adler have shown in Total Pixel Space in his movie, that all of these images or visions exist somewhere in the possible spaces, and you have to just reach them and explore and hunt for them. Thank you for that.
Oh, okay, one more question or two, okay, if I may. So something which is connected to what Michał said just before. Do you more see the AI as a counterpart to this discussion, or more as an executional tool? Where's the accent? Where's the accent put? And the other question is about law. Because I recently attended some workshops on AI, and I got to know some things about the law in AI. So I know that we have to defend our work, yes, because basically, if we just show that we did something with AI, it doesn't has all those proprietary rights, yes. So the question is, do you have any strategy for that? I know that the workflows can be very different, and is the documentation the only way to do this? Document everything, but you cannot document everything also, because it's very it makes a burden for you, So what's the perfect solution for that? Yeah, thank you.
How I've done it in the past, because I have a particular style, and the style is always, in a way, documented, but not all the time. Personally, I know where my data comes from, and so that way I can license it. My clients never request for it; they never ask me to prove anything. Well, I know what it is, and I know the styles that I'm using. So what I always make sure is, when I'm creating anything, I'm making sure I'm not taking from someone else's work. To do that thing, I'm making sure that it's original, or it's almost like my template that I'm using to create that thing. So if it's needed, if they request for it, I could prove that this is my data, this is my references, this is my style, this is my, But most of the time, you don't necessarily have to document everything except the request for you to do that. Then you can just show your process. If you're sketching on paper, if you're taking a picture, scanning it, or if you're doing any of that, fine, it's all good. But I've never had to do that. So really, it's never been a problem.
So should I understand that you only use the models on premise, yes, not on premise location, not the public ones, not like Krea, Higgsfield, or something?
Yeah. So when I'm creating commercial work, I'm very closed system. I like to control everything. If I'm just creating for fun or for public, I can use any system, regardless of what I'm trying to create. But I like to protect my clients as well. So I'm always trying to make sure I'm in control of the data for commercial work, licensable work. But every other thing, I just experiment with all the tools. I see what's the best one.
So I should, for instance, aim for DPAs with the platforms like Krea or Higgsfield or others, Runway, let's say, or is it not possible if it's not a client work? Let's say if it's my personal project.
no, it's also possible, but you just need to make sure that everything you're creating is still based off of your work. You know, it's still based off of exactly what you're trying to create, your style. You know, there's a way of doing that without saying you don't. If you put it in, I want it to look like a Basquiat or a Leonardo da Vinci, then that's someone else's work. But I'm sure you have your own style that you can feel and say, I want it to be looking like my style and keeping it consistent across that. So that still works.
Yeah, of course, you know, the Leonardo da Vinci, or, you know, some old artists are like from the public space. This is another thing, yes, that maybe old masters are like available to discuss with them, like in an open way. I'm not sure, but I suppose so. And one more question about this, you know, the one that I asked before, you know, about this discussion and the execution on the other side, you know, does the accent is put on the execution with AI or just on the discussion with it, you know? How would you put it, you know?
So I'm trying to understand the question. So the accent, is it put on the execution of the discussion?
Yes, you know, I mean, like execution and treating AI as a tool, like a paintbrush, for instance, you know, like a Photoshop or something, or you just get advantage from the fact that you can make a conversation with AI. Yes, this is a bit a question of Michał's, you know. So sorry, Michał, if I.
No problem. Go on.
Yes.
No. Is that okay? It's not just conversation.
We cannot
Malik,
hear you.
We can hear you. You've got your microphone muted.
Sorry. Sorry about that. So yes, it's not just conversational. It's also depending on the execution as well. I feed it certain things, I get results with certain things. I want to see certain things in a different way. I get results certain things. Sometimes it's conversational for me to understand certain ethos myself or the reason behind, you know, certain things. So for instance, if I'm trying to create a new form of artwork, I'll go back into research. And research, LLMs help very well with research. So that's the great thing about it. I go back into why this, or when it was the first time this was made, why was it made, what was the design thinking behind it. You know, all of that could inspire me to find a new approach, you know, of that problem as well. So conversational wise, it's 100% very good if it's directed properly. You could get references, you could get, you know, links just to inspire yourself on how to approach it. But when it comes to results, that result varies on the product. So sometimes I sketch. I feed that to AI systems to enhance, to show me something else, color it, change the lines. Sometimes I'm on Photoshop, sometimes it's a picture, sometimes it's a prompt, and I'm refining the prompt, you know, based off of, and if the prompt looks similar to something that is not generic or someone else's style, I stay away from it, and I put in my style, put in that same prompt, I'll keep it to my style as well. So I try everything, but I keep it consistent with, I have a style of colors, I have a palette, I have the way, quality of how my work looks. So I always make it consistent with that look and feel, no matter what happens. So when you see it, you recognize, oh, he's the one that did that there, and not just an AI system.
Yeah, okay. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah.
Is it me right now? Thanks, Ralph. Okay, so I think this is the good moment to ask that business question. So let's get to the bottom line. So I think that most of AI artists can't name their price. They feel they are competing with, they are too modest. They think that they are competing with, you know, free in the asterisk, free generators. So how do you position your value, that the value that you're creating, yourself, for the brands, for main your clients, so you can keep the high rates instead of just running prompts
Yeah.
maybe they can think that they can run prompts themselves. Yeah. What's your take on it?
Yeah, anybody can run prompts, but what they pay for most of the time is my experience. It's not even just the AI systems and AI tools. Sometimes I even charge for my GPUs beyond create anything. You pay for my GPU time, you pay for my experience, you pay for my time, you pay for even so because of I've been a storyteller before even AI. I've been doing it before AI. I have a system and ethos. I still go through that same process. Today, I even charge more for AI works than I would charge for physical traditional work sometimes because it takes a lot of sitting time, brainstorming, creating a lot of dollars as well because AI is expensive if you're using it as much as I use it, as well. So I position myself in a sense that nothing is impossible to create. I put out work that you might see and try to find out how this is done. But other things that I've done that I haven't put out, for major brands, because it's for major brands, but that's something that I've done as well. But in a sense that when you put in a prompt, most of the things that I do, you can never get this kind of result until you alter something, change something. Something has to be different with the uniqueness of what you're creating, or the output or the problem that you're solving. It's not just so that is very key. So they see these things and they know that, okay, something could be created based off of that. And that's understand.
That's so smart. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I have a question about so you said that you use AI as a tool, but I'm just wondering whether there is something for you that you never use AI for. Is there something like sacred that you think would be wrong to apply AI to?
Well, I wouldn't say it's wrong to apply AI to, but for instance, we also write. We've got some things that we've written, some anthology series, some films, and I've never used AI to try to bring it to life before because these are things that belong in live action. That real actors, they have to act it. I know I could use AI to pitch, but when it comes to the actual creation of it, my camera went up. I'm sorry about that. It's mostly that's sacred for me that I must go on set. I have to film it. I have to feel the emotions. I have to feel, all of that. So things like that are very, very key for me. Other things are also even writing. Writing, I could only use AI to structure my writing, but I could never use AI to write for me because it's very generic, very stereotypic. Like it could never give you great stories like a human being can. A human being has experiences, emotions, all of that. So yes, those two things is what I would say as they say for me when it comes to that.
So did you try, for example, to use the generative tools to create a new idea, or do you always come with your own idea and try to bring it to life with those tools? I mean, the ignition of something completely new.
Oh yeah. I have those days. The days where I'm trying to free my mind, and I come up with a totally random prompt. I have one prompt that I use for Midjourney.
What do you mean by random prompt?
Yes, a very random prompt, but very thought-provoking. That has several words that contradict each other, just to stress the AI system to see how to interpret it. And it's always fun to see what it brings out. I'm like, wow. So it's like almost like the lottery for me. Like, okay, what's gonna come up with this? What's gonna come up? So
that's so smart.
Opposite words together. Not just on my days when I'm bored, I just try it, and I could spend hours and hours just seeing new results. I've got tons and tons of libraries of random things that I just create based on what if, stuff like that. 100%.
Wow. I think this is the great summary of this conversation, and this was so cool. Malik, it was a rare pleasure to have you with us, and we are so grateful for your time here. Really,
thank you.
It was a great conversation.
Thank you. It's been fun. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you again.
Yes.
Thank you. Take
Thank
care,
you
guys.
to ask questions. And yeah, this will also later be available to watch for you and for anyone else who missed this.
All right, guys, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.